So recently I just celebrated my 28th birthday, and this year I met a really great friend, and she also had her birthday a day before me. And it's so funny, we are just in a birthday week, and so we decided to celebrate our birthdays together. We end up celebrating our birthday in this really nice restaurant where they had a Spanish tapas and really great drinks, and the chefs there were amazing. The just the tapas and all the meals and drinks were so flavorful, and I was just so happy with the restaurant. Very high end, and it was just really nice experience being there with my friends. And one of my other good friends asked me what I was looking for this coming year, or what I like to have complete and done. And I shared what I was looking for the years with my friends. And I also asked my friend to say, who was also celebrating the same birthday, say, what are you looking for this year? And she told me that she was probably the most happiest she ever been this year, and the most healthiest. So she was really content about how things are right now. And I was immensely happy to hear that, because there's nothing more than I want than the people around me to be content and happy with their life. But later on, through our conversation, she mentioned a worry that was very common for a lot of people, is that she, in her last job where she was let go, she had a boss that was doing that job for over 20 plus years or so. That was the only job she ever had, and she hit a year or age of herself where she felt like many people won't hire her because of kind of like ageism, or she was out of touch with other jobs or how things are right now. And she worried that, will she get to an age where people won't hire her anymore, and she won't be able to support herself, like financially? And will she be at a place where she won't be able to sustain a good lifestyle or have money? And I feel like that's a really soft issue a lot of people tend to hit, is financial security and safety. And it was very difficult for me to answer that for her. For in fact, most of my life I live very not financially as wealthy as most people, but I've also came back to the topic why I live frugally and a lot more intentionally. and and I kind of broke it down for her, and the reason why you should live more frugally or more intentionally. And mostly right now things are really expensive. We all know things are just so inflation is really taking the rise and toll for a lot of families and individuals. Like, things are just so much more expensive, and we don't have of course the incomes that we earn from our jobs aren't sustainable to the living expenses that we have. Most family, again, can't live off of one household now, and we have to do double. And that comes with the cost of a lot of people's health, responsibilities and other things, social aspects. There's just so many things we have to give up because things are so expensive now. And reality, like, who can afford life right now? Let's be, how are we doing this? And I wanted to make this video for one, to answer and comfort people that you're not the only one who's feeling the pressures and the financial stress that currently people are experiencing, especially for young people who really would want their life to thrive and they really just want a break. And why I decided to live frugally, it really all began with how I started again with my childhood. Frugality can be one taught very young in age, but also could be a value for you. Frugality can mean different for a lot of people, and frugality doesn't mean to be the extreme where you stop buying things like your coffee or living in the middle of nowhere, as people might suggest you to do extreme measures. But frugality means living your life more intentionally and actually spending money where it would bring the most outcome from you, and not on all 100% on things, but it could also be on things that fulfill you and be more more, make your life more maximized. Sorry, the pet cat, another cat. So I want to talk about how I live my life frugally, and the advice I would give my friend when she told me that, how she felt a little bit uncertain about the future financially. And the first thing I told her is you have to start living below your means, or live a life that's affordable to you. And the only way that we can offset expensive things is, one, you either make more money, right? Quite obvious. You go get a new job that pays you more, you start a business, you build outside income, stuff like that. You start making more money, and that is one way to offset your costs. Another very simple thing that I've told people, that if you don't have the time to find another job, you don't have the skill sets to get a new job, and especially right now, many people are losing their work, and it's starting to be very difficult to find even safety in just staying within a job. I tell people to live below their means, and I think that's a really great place to start. What does that mean? It means cutting out things that are not very necessary and that aren't really optimizing your life, or really primarily bringing more joy in your life. And it's could be also really basic things, from cutting things from your like subscriptions from TV shows you don't really watch, maybe reducing the amount of your commute to places, telling, instead, if you're working right now in person, right, you can ask for a hybrid role or go remote. That'd be a really good idea. Also, cutting out expenses from like buying really expensive clothing, from buying it once in a while, or buying less frequently, or eating more at home than going out so often. These are really basic things I've tell people. And primarily, the cost of living is really difficult to reduce, especially for housing. Maybe you live in a really expensive neighborhood, and you probably have to live a little bit outside of the city or outside of the expensive neighborhood. Maybe you got to bring in a buddy. Maybe you got to find ways that you can live in the same neighborhood but in a cheaper home. And living within your means and living within below your means could also mean differently for some people. Like for me, I live more in the rural area because, one, it saves me a lot of money, and I'm actually quite introverted half the time of the year, and I also really do enjoy the peace and quiet where I live. But it doesn't mean that I can't. It doesn't mean that I don't go to the city and see my friends. It doesn't mean that I cut off every single connection with people. It means that half the time and more of the time, I decide to live in a rural area because the benefits outweigh than being in a busy city. But if you're a city gal or a city person in general, you have to think about, what ways can I still live in a city, in a place that I absolutely love, but find ways to cut costs in other places that I don't absolutely love. For example, I actually spend a lot of money on books. I have this books, and I also buy a lot of things online, for example, like courses to help me get, build my skill sets. These are really things that I put a lot of expenses on, and a lot of people might not agree with that, but it brings me immense joy. Like, I'm so happy when I buy a new book. A lot of people have also tried to encourage me to go to a Kindle area where I save my time and money, right, on the Kindle. But I don't like picking up the Kindle. Like, I still feel like I'm on like my phone or on a tablet, right? It's the peace and quiet I have with physical paper that really brings me a lot more, alleviation. I spend a lot more money on books, but I actually don't spend a lot of money on buying out, going out to eat often. That's just to be honest. I don't go out to eat every single day. One, because I live in a very rural area, so the temptation and even wanting to go and buy things outside of where I live is really hard. I literally have to drive 30 minutes just to get like something decent to eat, like at a restaurant to sit down. I'm also very intentional when I go out to eat and do things. When I go out to eat, it's most of the time to go see my friends. I social eat, like I social eat with my friends or my family. So I am also getting much more benefit out of that. Like, I will spend money at a really nice restaurant with my friends, building that relationship. But I essentially, for on Monday through Friday, like, I go home and eat at home, and I savor those moments when I do go out with my friends and spend that money. That way, not only do I get to put my money intentionally with the people I care about, but also, in fact, get to try really more lavish foods at a time. Um, Another thing is too that why I live a lot more frugally is because the peace of mind, and there's nothing much more happier than having freedom without debt. And I've learned this really early on with my family, who we didn't have very much money, but one thing that my father did not like was debt. Debt means that you owe things to another person, and with that debt, it's a lot more heavier than seeing the numbers. Like, the feeling of owing someone is a lot more heavier than, so much more uncomfortable, that we choose not to be in debt. So we lived below our means for so long that I've just gotten used to it. And doesn't mean, I would like to also reiterate, debt it's not always bad, but if you're in a place where you have too much debt, then it could be bad, and it outweighs how much you make, then that is bad debt. Like, we want to make common sense. But if you're a high earner and you tend to know that you're going to pay off those debts, then in general, it might be really great. Or you're using that debt to accumulate wealth in the future, right, into an investment. That might be a great way that offset that. But reality, I like to make these videos for people who are actually struggling right now through creating a balance between, or security in, their financials. So back to the peace of mind. Peace of mind is really expensive. A lot of people spend their life actually in their head worrying about a gajillion things, but peace of mind, knowing that everything is stable and you have confidence, or at least faith that things are going to work out, is priceless, to be honest. But most people try to get peace of mind through, or escape, or have peace of mind through addictions, kind of like drugs, smoking a lot, eating a lot, binge eating. They get their peace of mind actually through other things, and even things that are really bad for you. And most of us are trying to get peace of mind, even just watching TV, or going through events, or hanging out with our friends. We're searching for something that will alleviate our stress. But when you realize frugality means living more intentionally, you will start to actually get peace of mind naturally in your state of life. You actually don't need to consume, like weed or alcohol, or go out as often. You just naturally will feel a sense of joyness in what you are naturally. You don't have to, replace it with doing other things. So peace of mind is actually a lot more expensive, again, and gained through a level of living your life intentionally. So I hope that makes sense. I really wanted to break that down, but that's one reason why I live frugally, is because peace of mind is a lot more expensive. Okay, so let's think about number 3, and I think it's the most obvious stuff, and less also sometimes be more. And a lot of people in this world, right, we want to upgrade cars, we want to upgrade houses, we also want to upgrade relationships, and sometimes we want to upgrade everything, and that's normal and natural life, that we just want to do better. But having more things around you doesn't equal your life success. And sometimes having less and more quality things in your life will bring much more, and over time. And I used to be in a phase where I needed this new dress, I needed this new shirt, I needed these new clothes. I don't know, sometimes I felt like the new things that come in my life, I was doing really well. And I found out at the end of the year, I had this junk of things that I really don't need, and began to clutter in my room. And I would constantly try to, I'm sure you guys have done this before, you see the mess in your home or your house and you avoid it. You have this chair or this couch that has a bunch of shit on there, and you don't know when you're gonna take that out. And every year I would spend maybe a whole 2 days or week trying to get rid of this stuff. And I would be so angry and frustrated because I had to go ruin it. I had to go donate these things. That would make me mad that I had to actually have to take my time to get rid of shit because I collected it. And whose fault was that? It was mine. And so every year I had to go in and look and throw things away and waste my time, be so stressed out about it, when in reality I could have just prevented that. I could have just not spent so much money on shit I don't need. And sorry if maybe YouTube might stop me from saying all these bad words, these slurs, but we all done this before. We all bought things that essentially were in the moment. They were slurs. They were because we had no control, to be honest. We have no control or haven't intentionally have something much more greater that we were investing in our money with, or our life in, or our time with. And I've already talked about this in my last video, how time is a lot more expensive or more valuable than your money. Money is replaceable. You can put more time into your job. You could build more businesses. You could find ways to even have your money not equivalent to your time. Money is continuously coming, but things that are not always coming is your time. And my time cleaning up my mess of things that I don't even really want, that I just wore one time, that I didn't even care to have forever, robbed my peace of mind, robbed my time, robbed my space. Honestly, it just what just made me so stressed out. And I tell that to people, like, you're probably looking in your room, looking in your garage, looking in your home, and you have things stacked up that you don't need, but you just have it just in case, right? Or you just have it because we didn't want it feel wasteful for our money. And I've told you guys I lived very, very not the most wealthiest, and so I didn't want to get rid of my things because I felt like I wasted my money. Like, I didn't want my money to be wasted. And I still kept it because, like, I spent $20 on this, or I spent $40, or I spent $100 on this, like X, Y, and Z, right? And I didn't want to get rid of it because I valued the money that I got for that item. And instead of just accepting that I made a wrong choice, or accepting that it served a purpose one time and that it was useful and it's okay to let go of things. And so that began later on. I went a huge declutter my whole home, my whole houses, and I realized I only wear like 20 things out of my wardrobe, right? And there's always temptation for me to upgrade. There's always, I need a new shelf, or I need a new house, I need a new bigger place, like, because I have stuff that I really needed to put somewhere. And so, yeah, like, that's one reason why I decided, I wanted to live my life more intentionally. And I'm not saying stop buying things. No, you kind of need to buy things around this world, and especially things that make you happy, like your cup of coffee, right? A lot of people say, get rid of your $5 Starbucks, right? And your life changed. That's not the problem. A $5 drink won't actually make your life better. It is the habits that you create in your life. It will make your life better. And your intentions on what you want to do with your life will change everything. So frugality was taught with me, but frugality also got lost in my life. There's a phase also in my life that I talked to people that I was making a lot of money, and people will always hit this threshold, and everyone's threshold is very different. How much money will make your life a lot more happier? And I hit a threshold really early in my life that the more money I was making was not making me any happier. And maybe I need to make this whole video about how money isn't your happiness or why you're unhappy, right? But having more does not always equal more, right? Sometimes having less, like less friends, but they're really quality friends, and those relationships are great, means more. Or having clothes that really do fit you well and that suit you, make you feel confident, but they're a lot more expensive pieces, means more. Sometimes, spending time absolutely doing nothing, but just having time to do absolutely nothing means more than having your whole schedule filled up. Frugality means living your life more intentionally and consuming things and spending things that are valuable to you, that brings and expands your life. For example, there's some certain things that have really truly made my life much more easier. For example, I have a friend who lives near the city, and she's a very, very busy person. She's a very successful person, and she doesn't have time to grocery shop. So what she does, every time she would go grocery shopping, it would waste maybe like 2 hours of her day. And she hated grocery shopping. She just could not do it. But if she didn't grocery shop, she will binge eat. She would just eat random things, and she would go in poor health. The cycle begins. Instead, now she hired a meal prepper, someone who she has meal prepping her food. She saves so much more money. It is a lot more, well, essentially it did save her a lot more money over time because she saved, she got on a plan, but it also helped her health. On top of that, it also really made her feel better, and she started putting time into things that made her feel happier. And frugality also starts with that, putting in your money to work for yourself, to make your life more easier, and not putting into places that just weigh you down. For example, like the junk that I had weighing me down every year. Now I use that extra money to save me money, save me time, and save my peace. And I think you can do that too if you live your life a lot more intentionally. So sorry, I have to move a little bit because people are mowing lawns, so it's just a mowing lawn day. But I would like to thank everyone for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it and you get something out of it. Comment below what frugality means to you and what do you think of this video. I also told people, like, frugality doesn't mean to be extreme. It doesn't mean to live in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't mean to stop buying your favorite cup of coffee. Frugality means just living your life more intentionally and making your money work for you in the way that you want it to be. And instead of owing people your time and your efforts, you start owing it to yourself. So frugality is intentional living. So it means to actually think about what you're doing with the money you earn, the time that you have, the effort that you have contained for yourself, or have your energy. So that what frugality means to me. So comment. I hope I make sense all of this whole videos. I'm gonna be blabbing on all the time, but I hope you have a wonderful day and you're taking care of yourself. I gotta go and take a shower, start my day. It's very beautiful. I don't want to miss this day to enjoy the sun. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you next time. Bye.